Hi, Amanda. How you doing? Okay, I've got your work up right here. So this is it. This is our final discussion. I'd like to thank you for a really super engaged class. I think you're an excellent student. I think you've contributed a lot of very, very interesting angles to the class, specifically in your response posts, your peer critique discussion board and discussion board response posts. I think that you were able to synthesize what you've learned in the class and successfully um, integrate that into your critiques and comments. So I think that's really, really effective. So keep up the great job as you move through your student career. And of course, just because the class is ending doesn't mean that this relationship has to end. If you have any education needs in the future, please feel free to keep my contact information and let me know, whether it be for critique in a different class or just any kind of design advice, or even just to say, hey, that would be awesome. Okay, so at any rate, at this point, let's go ahead and take a look. Now, I think it's a really interesting ad. We saw an ad very, very similar to this 2 weeks ago, and it was I think it was also a Heinz ad. It was the same kind of concept, except this one, instead of having the leaves, the tomatoes on the vine, it had the sliced tomatoes. I don't know if you remember that, but same concept. And I think the important and interesting thing to note about this is the image, the use of image. I think the use of image is the most profound in this. And I think the main profound thing is, and this discussion came up a couple of times in class, is the difference between this type of ad, contemporary ad, and something a little different. Like, for example, the Apple ad. Remember the Apple computer, Sir Isaac Newton ad, and how that looked so dated. And as we can clearly see in this ad, it's just got almost no copy. So what this is telling us is that contemporary advertising is more concept oriented, whereas traditional classic advertising was more textual oriented. So right now, advertising very much is in a state where we're presenting images and letting the images tell the story instead of text telling the story. And I think the reason for that is just based on our uh, diminishing attention spans, and a lot of people attribute that to the nature of the internet. So at any rate, let's go ahead and take a look. I think there's a couple of things I want to mention in the ad, but let's go ahead and take a look at your writing. The antiphons for Heinz uses contrast and colors. Yep, absolutely. And note that a lot of color harmonies are derived from nature, specifically complementary colors that we find in nature. The emphasis is bottle acceptance made of tomatoes, but repetition is also tomatoes growing in the vine, creating the bottle. I like the amount of space in the leaves they put in the tomato. Also, let's not forget the leaves in the foreground. There's another use of continuation right there. Continuation by repetition. So it's really, really a harmonious image. I think it's very interesting. The ad could have been easily too busy. The ad could have easily been too busy to have just simple blue sky. And sign is what make it successful. I agree. The font is really interesting. Matter of fact, I want to talk about the font. I'm going to give you a question. I'd like you to respond to my question in your response to this video. So, basically, let me see what we have here. So we've got this ad. I think it's a really clever concept. And again, concept is king here, right? One of the things I think that the ad it's almost out of balance. And the reason I say that is why do you think this leaf is right here? There's two reasons that this leaf is right here. Number one, these leaves in the foreground, they're kind of blurred out a little bit. And this is it's selective focus. And I think that what it's trying to do here, what it actually is doing, is it's creating a nice degree of depth in the composition. As this clearly looks closer to the focal point than this does. So so that's a really interesting use of photography. Now, this leaf right here, not only is it used to create depth, but it's also used to counterbalance this sign right here. And I don't know if it's so effective, because right now I'm still feeling this ad is kind of tipping to the right a little bit. Do you feel that? My question is, do you think the ad is out of balance, and what would you do to counterbalance that? Now, one of the things I will mention is if I were to AD this ad, I would have done this. I would have and this is kind of what I want you to do. Just tell me how you would correct the imbalance here. And the imbalance is based on this sign right here and the fact that this is centered. Okay, I'm not really going to give you much more than that. All I'm going to say is this. The combination of this little sign at the right-hand side of the bottle and the centered logo is throwing the composition out of balance. I think this is an attempt to counterbalance the weight of this, but I don't think this is an effective placement for the ad. So my question again is, just really quickly, how could you reconfigure this ad to equalize the balance? There's two things I would do, actually three. One has to do with the leaf, one has to do with the logo, one has to do with the little sign. So let's see if you're going to follow what I would consider to be a reasonable and logical solution. But let me know your thoughts on that. Okay, fantastic, Amanda. It's just been wonderful having you in class, and I hope to see you again in future classes. But in the meantime, I would love it if you were just to take a few minutes of your valuable time and take the course survey. And that's available right over here. It's right here. See this welcome to week 8 announcement with the little boy in the race car. Yay, we made it. And then right down here in the middle of this announcement is the course survey, a little information on that, how to take that course survey. And then right below that, there's a whole dedicated announcement on the course survey. So as I said, it's really wonderful and pertinent information for students to share their response and their opinions based on the level of instruction, level of engagement from your instructor, and the course itself, how effective is the course and what can be improved. So if you could just take, like I said, just take a few minutes of your time and go ahead and take that survey, would be just really greatly appreciated. Okay, great. Thank you so much, Amanda.